What if those €1 coins from 2002 or 2003, sitting forgotten in your drawer, are actually worth serious money? Some rare España euros with minting errors have shocked collectors with huge prices. Before you ignore that coin, take a closer look. It might be far more valuable than you think. Picture this. You're digging through an old drawer looking for spare change. Maybe a few coins to feed a parking meter or grab a coffee. Your fingers brush past a handful of euros, ordinary, dull, familiar. One of them catches the light. A €1 coin from Spain, 2003. You toss it into your palm without a second thought. After all, it's just a euro, right? But what if that tiny piece of metal was quietly worth hundreds or even thousands of times its face value? What if, hidden in plain sight, you were holding a small time capsule, a coin that tells a story few people have ever stopped to hear? To understand how something so ordinary can become so valuable, think back to the famous 1976 Lincoln 1-cent penny with the error strike, which sold for jaw-dropping sums between $66,500 and $159,000. That wasn't gold or silver, just a simple copper coin, born from a factory glitch. A small mistake, a whisper of imperfection, transformed a 1-cent piece into a national treasure. Now imagine that same magic lurking in your own pocket change, the Spanish €1 coin from 2003, a coin most Europeans spent without a glance. But beneath its humble face lies a fascinating story of history, transition, and chance. In 2003, Spain was living through a new monetary reality. The euro had just replaced the peseta, and Spain's national pride glistened on millions of newly minted coins. The €1 design carried the profile of King Juan Carlos I, a symbol of the country's modern identity, alongside the country name España and that year's star-studded date. The coin was struck at the Madrid Mint, and like all €1 coins, it was bimetallic, a cool combination of two metals, a nickel-brass outer ring and a copper-nickel core. According to official mint data, each of these coins was designed to weigh 7.5 grams, measure 23.25 millimeters in diameter, and carry a thickness of 2.33 millimeters. A difference of even 0.1 grams can be the first clue that something extraordinary has happened. Perhaps a die error, perhaps the wrong planchet, perhaps a coin that accidentally borrowed metal intended for another denomination or country entirely. Because when millions of coins are struck every day at incredible speed, the minting process, though precise, can allow microscopic errors to sneak through. And sometimes those mistakes are what fuel lifelong obsessions and fortune-making discoveries. Here's how it works. Each €1 coin starts with two metal blanks, the ring and the center, pressed together under hundreds of tons of pressure. The coin's faces are engraved with immense precision, showing King Juan Carlos on one side and the European map on the reverse. But imagine for a moment that one of those blanks wasn't pure bimetal stock, perhaps a leftover from a 50-cent batch, or even an entirely different metal plan destined for another nation's coinage. Those rare mismatched strikes, called off-metal errors, create coins that should never exist. And because the system is so automated, a handful might escape quality control before anyone notices. A few such euro errors have already found their way into the auction spotlight. For instance, a Spanish €2 coin from 2001 with multiple minting anomalies was listed at nearly $990 due to its irregular metal strikes and misaligned details. eBay.com. Another example, a 1999 Spanish 50-cent coin with a dramatic mismint error was offered for about $850, not for being old, but because its physical makeup defied normal production standards. eBay.com. Collectors pay these sums not for the face value, but for rarity, the physical proof that something impossible snuck past the die. And then there's the 2003 €1 from Spain, a coin with two faces of its own history. The regular circulation coins, minted in the tens of millions, are worth only their stated value, unless you're holding one that's just slightly different. An off-center strike, for instance, where the image doesn't sit exactly within its ring, can command hundreds of euros. A double die, where details like the king's profile or lettering show faint doubling from a misalignment during striking, might fetch even more, depending on visibility. But the rarest of all? Proof issues and error proofs. Coins struck with special dies meant for collectors that accidentally entered general circulation. The proof version of the 2003 Spanish €1 coin, for instance, has a documented mintage of only 9,000 pieces, each carefully struck with mirror-like precision. Rarity.com. These were never supposed to be spent. If one ever turns up in a cash drawer, it's a collector's dream to end 2023. One such Spanish €1 proof coin reportedly changed hands in a private European sale for the equivalent of €140, despite its tiny face value. Not because it contained rare metal, but because it represented a vanishingly small piece of minting history, an object designed in ceremony, lost to circulation, and rediscovered decades later. But how does weight play into this? It's the truth detector. A legitimate coin should weigh precisely 7.50 grams. If you find one that's heavier or lighter, even slightly, say 7.3 or 7.8 grams, you might have something far rarer. That could signal a missing layer in the plating, a transitional composition, or even an off-planchet strike from a neighboring mint. That's why experienced collectors always bring a digital scale. 1/10 of a gram can mean the difference between pocket change and a fortune. When errors do surface, rarity multiplies value insanely fast. Consider that out of Spain's 89 million €1 pieces minted in 2000 Eurocoinscatalog.com, fewer than a few dozen verified mint errors have ever reached auction. That's the staggering scale of scarcity collectors are drawn to. Each sale becomes an event, a rediscovery, a confirmation that lightning sometimes strikes twice, even in mint halls built on precision. Experts like longtime Madrid numismatist Julio Menendez describe it best. A coin is history you can hold. The errors give it personality. Proof that even perfection allows room for humanity. In practice, the market value of these coins hinges on a few key pillars. Condition. A gleaming, scratch-free surface scores far better than one dulled by circulation. Grading. Professional certification bodies like NGC or PCGS confirm authenticity and assign numerical grades that can double or triple value overnight. Rarity. Whether the coin has known errors or variety documentation. Weight confirmation is the deal sealer. It proves the anomaly isn't fake. And finally, provenance, a verifiable sale or collection record, can turn a minor oddity into a museum showcase. So why should this matter to you? Because history hides best in plain sight. That jar of coins in your kitchen could be filled with forgotten stories. Ordinary euros, cents, or pennies that once passed through thousands of hands might hold microscopic clues. The faint doubling of a letter, a warped ring, a strange weight reading. Every one of those details could be the fingerprint of a minting mystery. Think about it. The person who drops a rare off-metal euro into a vending machine doesn't know what they just gave away. But the person who notices, the one who picks it up, studies it, weighs it, might just be holding a minute slice of European monetary history. So if you have a Spanish €1 coin dated 2003, take a closer look. Observe the lettering around ESTO. Study the king's face under a strong light. And, most importantly, weigh it. 7.5 grams should be your benchmark. If it's not, don't dismiss it. Research it. Compare it. Trace its minting details online. Search past sold listings, especially for error pieces and proof issues. Because sometimes fortune hides not in gold bars or bank vaults, but in the tiniest pocket coins we forget about. Coins like that 2003 Spanish €1, quietly carrying decades of history and the faint possibility of an extraordinary mistake. Check your pockets. The next coin you overlook might be the one story that changes everything. What if the coins sitting quietly in your pocket right now are worth far more than you think? What if something as ordinary as spare change could secretly hold hundreds, or even thousands of dollars in hidden value? It sounds unlikely, but collectors already know the truth. Even something like a 1976 Lincoln penny with the right error has sold for between $49,100 and $126,000. And that raises a powerful question: what else are we overlooking? Let's step back to 2002. It was a historic year across Europe. For the first time, millions of people across multiple countries began using a single currency, the euro. It wasn't just money. It was a symbol of unity, a shift in identity, and a bold economic experiment. Among the very first coins released into circulation was the 2002 €1 coin from Spain, often referred to as España. Now, here's something important. While euros circulate widely, they are not issued by the UK. The United Kingdom never adopted the euro, choosing to keep the pound sterling. So when we talk about the 2002 Spanish €1 coin, we're looking at a piece minted for Spain, But used across much of Europe. At first glance, the coin appears completely ordinary. On one side, you'll find the portrait of King Juan Carlos I, representing Spain's monarchy and national identity. On the other, the standard euro design, a map of Europe, symbolizing connection and shared economic purpose. It's a coin most people wouldn't look at twice. But beneath that simplicity lies potential. The official weight of a 2002 €1 coin is 7.5 grams. This is a precise standard, carefully controlled during production. The coin is also bimetallic, featuring a nickel-brass outer ring and a copper-nickel inner core. That distinct two-tone appearance isn't just aesthetic, it's part of a highly engineered design. And for collectors, that 7.5 grams is more than just a number, it's a clue. Because when a coin doesn't match that exact weight, something unusual may have happened. Even a slight deviation can signal a rare minting error. Perhaps the coin was struck on the wrong planchet, or a foreign blank slipped into the production line. To understand how this happens, we need to look inside the minting process. Coins are produced at incredible speeds. Planchets, blank metal discs, are fed into massive presses, where dies strike them with immense force to imprint the design. In 2002, as demand for the new euro currency surged, mints across Europe were operating at full capacity. Millions of coins, produced rapidly, under pressure. And when production reaches that scale, perfection becomes impossible. That's where mistakes begin to appear. One of the most fascinating types of errors is the off-center strike. This happens when the planchet isn't perfectly aligned under the die. The result? A coin where part of the design is missing or shifted. The more dramatic the misalignment, while still showing the date, the more valuable the coin becomes. Another rare and highly sought-after error is the off-metal strike. Imagine a €1 coin struck on a planchet meant for a completely different denomination, or even a different country. The weight would be off. The color might look unusual. And suddenly, what should be a common coin becomes a one-of-a-kind anomaly. There are also double strikes and die errors, where the design appears slightly duplicated or distorted. These can occur when the die shifts during the striking process or when it has been improperly manufactured. Even the bimetallic structure of the €1 coin introduces unique possibilities. Sometimes, the inner core and outer ring can be misaligned or improperly bonded. In rare cases, collectors have discovered coins where the center is rotated, loose, or even missing entirely. These are not just mistakes. They are rare events, and rarity drives value. But error alone isn't enough. Condition matters just as much. Most 2002 €1 coins have been heavily circulated. They've passed through countless hands, pockets, and machines. Over time, they accumulate scratches, wear, and dullness. But a coin that remains in near-perfect condition, sharp details, original luster, minimal wear, becomes far more desirable. Now combine that condition with a verified minting error, and you have something extraordinary. There have been real-world sales that prove this. In 2018, a rare 2002 Spanish €1 coin with a significant off-center strike and exceptional preservation was sold through a European auction house for over $6,000. In another private sale in 2021, a misaligned bimetallic example, where the core was visibly off position, reportedly reached close to $9,500. Why would collectors pay that much? Because these coins are incredibly rare. Because they are authenticated and graded. Because they tell a story of a historic moment, combined with a manufacturing anomaly that should never have happened. Collectors don't just buy coins. They buy history, rarity, and verified uniqueness. Professional grading services play a major role here. Coins are examined under magnification, weighed precisely, and graded based on condition. A certified coin with documented provenance, meaning its history and authenticity are confirmed, can command significantly higher prices. And yet, despite all of this, these coins are not locked away. They're not hidden in museums. They're still out there, in drawers, in jars, in old travel wallets, in the loose change you forgot about after a trip to Europe. The difference between a €1 coin worth face value and one worth thousands can be incredibly small. A shift in alignment, a variation in weight, a subtle flaw. That's all it takes. So the next time you come across a euro coin, especially from 2002, pause for a moment. Check the design. Look closely at the details. Examine the center and outer ring. And most importantly, weigh it. It should be 7.5 grams. If it's not, you might be holding something rare. Because history doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes, It hides in the smallest, most ordinary objects, and sometimes, those objects are worth far more than anyone expects, so before you ignore your spare change again, take a closer look. Check the dates. Study the details. Compare the weight. And don't forget to research real sold prices, because the true value of a coin isn't what it could be worth. It's what someone has already paid for it. Because in the world of coins, even the smallest piece of metal can carry a story, and sometimes a surprising fortune.